Hey guys, this is episode number 5. Can't believe we made it this far, but here we are, and let's get going. So this is the story of the craziest job I've ever had. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this story The Tale of the Puppet Man. I was on Craigslist looking for jobs, and I clicked under the TV film category, and I found this headline that said, "Do you like puppets?" in all caps. It was about this show that he was going to make for Delaware Public Access TV, and he just wanted you to have an interest in puppets and some kind of background in TV film. He invited me for an interview at his company, and I get there and I look inside the door because he said to call him when I get there, and I look inside and it looks like an uninhabited building. I can see garbage inside thrown everywhere. I can see like an old desk that's littered with trash too, and it just didn't look like anything was going on there. So I called him, and he came out, explained the mess, said he had another business going on that was about, he was getting ready to have a meeting with some chemical engineers. So we talked about my film history and all that, and he even said that if I take this job, since I'm not from the area and I wouldn't want to drive an hour and a half to work every day, that he would supply me with a place to stay, because as another side business, he flips houses and renovates houses. So I would be staying in one of the houses that he is currently flipping and renovating for free, and he would be paying me $400 a week too. So at the time, that sounded like a really, really good deal to me. And so I took the job. I said, yep, I'll do it. Sign me up. When can I start? Come Monday, I drive all the way to the office. I get there. I get to the door. I call him again. This time he comes to the door, but he answers very frantically. Like he forgot that I was coming and wasn't expecting me at all. So he says, I kind of forgot that today was your first day, but there's also a lot of big head honcho people coming to, I'm giving a presentation to them about the chemical engineering side of this business. And so I was like, all right, yeah, that's fine. I guess you weren't prepared for that. You forgot that was happening, whatever. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to bring you into this back office here, and we'll set you up, get you a little station, and get you started on working. So I was like, all right, sure. So we go into this back room, empty rooms except for 2 metal desks that are also covered in garbage. I don't know what happened in this building before he got there or arrived there, but garbage everywhere. And he's carrying a stack, I'm not even lying, this high. All of it is paper, and all of it is, I can see it's different scripts and packets of paper. And he puts them down on the desk in front of me and just says, okay, these are all the scripts I've written in my entire life. Today, while I'm doing this presentation, why don't you just read all these scripts, and that way you'll get a sense of my writing style and the kinds of things that I'm trying to put across and come across in my product. The top one, the one that I was drawn to, was just called I Liver. Lowercase I, capital L, I-V-E-R. Like iPhone, but I Liver. So this guy, this reporter, is a writer for the San Francisco Times. The reporter gets ideas in his head that this guy, Peter Workman, who had this liver transplant in Memphis, Tennessee, got it illegally off the black market. So he travels to Tennessee, he meets this cabbie who he befriends, and she drives him around for the week. He finds a clinic attached to the back of some shopping center, and he sneaks into the clinic, and he finds a styrofoam like organ box that he deems is proof that the organs have come illegally from the black market. In the end, he gets really mixed up in a lot of shady things, and he finds the son of the head of the company. So the head of the company gets called, and the reporter says, "Hey, you need to talk to me. You need to set up an interview. You need to tell me what's going on. I know shady things have been happening involving Peter Workman, and I need you to come clean about it. I have your son." The crazy thing is the head of the company, the head of the pear company, doesn't care that his son is being held hostage. He hires this team of assassins they have information about, they're tracking his son's phone, they know where his son is, they're in the cabbie's house. She said that they could use her house as a little hideout or home base. So the team comes into the basement and shoots the head guy's son right in front of the reporter and the cabbie. So they're like, well, what do we do now? What they did was they got kidnapped, they got killed, and then their organs were being harvested and shipped to some unknown address. And that's the end of the script. He came back in and saw that I was reading the iLiver script and was just like, oh, do you kind of see what I was writing about there? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm assuming it's pretty obvious that you're talking about Steve Jobs and Apple. And my new boss was like, yep, yeah, and I really need you to know that I really think shady things are happening in real life involving Steve Jobs. And I've gone to Memphis, I've gone to the airport, I've snuck around, I was followed home one night by an unmarked black van, and I think people don't want this story to get out, and I need to ask you not to share this with anyone, not to tell anyone about what this story is, because I honestly think if people knew and found out, our organs would be on the black market by Wednesday. And that's when I've kind of decided that this man was probably a little crazy. So after that little weird hiccup, he decided that he wanted to give me a tour of the building. And I said, okay. So then we go to the back of the building, and there's a little door on the side, and he says, I want to show you something really cool. So he opens the door, and we enter into almost like a giant hangar. It's really wide, really open. It's like the back part of a warehouse almost. Except the part that we're entering into is a little fenced-in area of that giant hangar. And he says, you know what I see here? And I did not know what to say. So I just asked, what? And he says, I see Brett's workspace. And I was confused. He says, yeah, like I see it. This is what I brought you on to do. I know this is going to be a great area for you creatively. We'll hang a green screen over here. You can have a workbench over here. You're going to be hard at work making the puppets. And I just said, okay, so like what, just curious, what cameras are we using? He's like, well, that's the thing. We don't have any cameras yet. We are starting with nothing. We have nothing here. The rest of the day, I am just trying to comprehend everything that's going on and what he thinks my actual job is for the show. We end the workday a little early, drive from the office to the house I'm staying at, so it was about 25 minutes, half hour away. We pull up, he, instead of taking me to the front door, takes me to the back door, and it's one of those back doors where you have to walk downstairs to get to, so it's the door to the basement. Opens up the basement door, and all of a sudden we're in this nice kitchen area. And then I can see there are doors that are numbered 1 through 6. And he then explains to me that this is the bed and breakfast area. So he's renovating the house upstairs. While he's renovating the house, he's running a bed and breakfast downstairs. He takes me around, and each room is themed in a different... It's close to the beach, so each room is themed in a different beach theme. So there's the seashell room, there's the sand room, the boat room. He had a room with a giant metal boat in it. My room was the seagull room, so I got to stay in a room that just had taxidermy seagulls perched up on the window ledge. I noticed that water is just dripping from the ceiling, and I pointed that out to him, and he kind of shrugged it off and was just like, the things us starving artists have to go through, right? At the same time, the guy started mentioning the woman, my boss started mentioning the woman that he was seeing, and said that she lived in the house and she ran the bed and breakfast. He said that he was getting her to send me a text message. So it's just a generic text telling me where things are located, that I can use the coffee maker and all this kind of stuff, the password to the Wi-Fi, and generic stuff like that. Signed, Karen. So I go upstairs to the main part of the house where he's living, and it's pretty nice. I can tell he's working on it. There's a room where he records music. He told me he was into recording music. Found out later he has an insane YouTube channel with crazy videos. He tells me that he's going to go upstairs and see if Karen is ready. So he heads upstairs. He comes back down a minute or two later and says, oh, Karen's not feeling well. She's not going to make it out tonight. So we get in the car. He says he'll drive. We get in the car and we start driving to dinner. On the way, he's talking to me about all these plans he has, and for the show, he wants to host a late night talk show on public access TV in Delaware. And he wants to be the host, he wants to interview guests, and he's going on and on. It's like, oh, these puppets are going to be great. We can have a Miley Cyrus puppet, and it'll be like I'm interviewing Miley Cyrus, and we won't even need to hire her to be there because the puppet will embody Miley Cyrus, and I'm probably going to have you do all the voices in the back, so it'll be like I'm really interviewing her. And he had this idea. He's like, to make my show stand out, I need you, when you're making the puppets, to be able to craft them in a way that their head can disconnect from their body, because I think it'd be really funny if it's like my character bit where at the end of every interview I get so mad and I pull out a machete and I just cut whoever I'm interviewing, I cut their head off. And I thought that would be a terrible idea for a show, but the man did not. The man thought it was hilarious. The man was laughing all the way to the beach, chuckling to himself. And so in that situation, I'm in the car, he's driving. I can't say anything, so of course I'm gonna laugh along and pretend like I think this is a great idea. The next day, I drive from the house all the way back to the office. I get a text message from him saying he had meetings in Dover, so he was not going to be around all day. So I have no instructions on what to do, and then it hits me that I have no idea what I'm doing. What am I doing at this job? What is this man paying me to do? So I just pull out my laptop and I start doing some research on puppets. An hour later, I remember it was like 10:15. My heart started beating, and then I was like kind of thinking that I didn't want to be there anymore, and I didn't think this man was all that up there, put together up there. And like panic just came over me. I was like, I think I'm in a weird place here. Something crazy's going on with this man. He's running 8 different businesses, and it just seems like he's not completing any of them. I forgot to mention, in the bed and breakfast, nobody else was there. It was just me. Just me. I was the only person staying at this bed and breakfast. And it was summer. So you'd think more people would probably be there, but there weren't. There weren't any. So I decided that I was just going to leave. Got in my car, drove all the way back to the house. So I just started getting all my things from the room and bringing them to my car. It took me about, I think, 5-6 trips total. And then I was like, oh, wait, Karen lives here too. So she probably hears me all this going on and is maybe wondering. I have to explain that something came up. So I go upstairs to the main level, the first floor, and I'm looking for Karen, and I'm calling Karen, and I don't hear anything. And she wasn't feeling well the night before, so maybe she's still not feeling well upstairs. So I go to the bottom of the stairs, and I just yell, Karen, and I don't hear anything. So I walked up the stairs, and the upstairs was just, when you go up the stairs, there's a little hallway and one door, and that's all that there was. I go to the door. It's ajar, enough for me to look in. I peek my head in and knock, and the only thing in this room, it's a giant master bedroom, and it has a mattress in the far back corner, and it is a single mattress. It's a twin mattress. And it's all like, the sheets are all over the place. It's got one pillow on it, so it looks like just one person sleeps there. So I ran downstairs, ran to my car, drove faster than I have ever driven in my entire life down the long driveway that it takes to get to that house, wondering the entire time, if I see him pull into this driveway, what am I going to do? How am I going to get away from this? So I just floor it. I floor it down these Delaware back roads, and then I'm starting to think to myself, what if I'm the crazy one here? What if I'm making this a crazy situation in my mind, and it's not really that crazy? So I start to feel bad, and I pull over at a park, and I'm just sitting there wondering what to do. I just feel bad for leaving this guy without any explanation whatsoever. So I say, okay, how about I do this? I'll text him, I'll say something family emergency came up, and that I'll give him more information tonight when I get home and assess the situation. So I send that text, and 30 seconds later, he's calling my phone. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't want to answer this. I don't want to have to make up some crazy family situation that I have to get away from his job for, so I'm not going to answer it. Calls back again. Didn't answer it. Calls back again. Didn't answer it. Calls back again. Didn't answer it. So then I get a text from him that says, what is going on? Do I need to hire someone else? So I responded back and said, I'm sorry, I have a family emergency that I have to go home to right now. I will give you more information when I find out more information. So then I just get another text that says, in all caps, where are the scripts? He was referring to the scripts, the big pile of scripts that he brought into the office the other day, because he told me to bring them home with me, and it was kind of like my homework to read them. And I just said, I do not have them. They are in my room, back at the house, on the ground. All of them are there. If you're familiar with Delaware at all, there's pretty much only one major road to take if you're going from the bottom of Delaware to the top of Delaware, and that's Route 1. So I'm on Route 1, and how it works is where I am is down here, Dover, where the guy had his meetings, is in the middle, and then where I live, my house, is up top near Wilmington. So I'm on Route 1, which connects all three places, and I'm just booking it home. Booking it home. I just want to get home. I just want that to be all behind me. And the man drives a blue minivan, and I'm on Route 1 driving, and what do I see behind me in my rearview mirror but a blue minivan following me and getting closer to me? So I do the thing where I'm like, oh, I'm being paranoid, this can't be him. Change lanes a couple times. Just so happens that the van also changed lanes a couple times, was still behind me. Panic sets in again, my heart starts racing, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't continue driving home. He's gonna know where I live. I gotta try to lose him. So I turn off Route 1, try to get on some back roads. The van is still following me, and then I'm like, this can't be a coincidence. Where is this person going? So I kind of time it really well that I turn onto another road when I see a couple cars coming in the opposite direction. So I turn on there real quick to not give him enough time to also be able to turn. So then I'm just flooring it, and I lose him. To this day, I don't know whether or not that was him, but that night I get an email, and it just says, hey, I was just wondering if you could explain the situation tonight to me. It seemed like you were all on board for this project yesterday, and now crazy things have happened, and it seems like you left. I just couldn't tell him that I didn't want to work on his show. I didn't have any idea how to make puppets. Don't know what he's talking about. This workspace that he tried to give me was nuts, and he didn't have a company. I don't think there was any company there. He has these crazy theories in his mind, and I just couldn't operate with that, and I had to get away, and that was the craziest job I've ever had.